some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Good morning, everyone. It is spooky season, and Walmart had they had 25% off on their stuff. So I got all of the cheap stuff. We got a dragon to guard the swear jar. We got little lights because, of course, the scary Christmas tree, and just all sorts of things because Mr. Mo was like, yeah, it's on sale. Go ahead and knock yourself out. I did add the cursed ramen flavors up there because I figured what's not terrifying about pumpkin spice and turkey dinner ramen noodles. So that's kind of where we went with that. So I had a lot of fun doing it, putting eyeballs in the tree, and it's got a disco ball on the bottom of it. So, I mean, how could I say no to something both glittery and disco ball-y? It's like the two main catnips for Mo, glitter and disco. Well, we got a lot of headlines, a lot of people doing some crazy shenanigans, more twisted news than you can imagine, and a lot of people to name and shame. So all in all, a pretty normal Monday in the year of our What the Actual Walmart Rapture 2025. I thought last year, 2024, the year of our clown, was, a big year, but no. 2025, the year of What the Walmart Rapture, has just eclipsed it. And I say continue shining on, you glorious and crazy, sparkling, diamond. You just keep going. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully today is better than this weekend. This weekend, I did get a surprise visit from my daughter, so that was good. But then Sunday, the storms and the rain and the spotty internet and my spotty legs, quite literally. I have a confession to make. I should not ever attempt to do self-tanner. My legs, I thought I did an even line. I made sure. My hands can attest. I thought I did the application well. I look like an orange zebra. It is terrifying. But there you go. Orange Mo bad. Yeah. Mr. Mo was like, I don't think that's working the way it's supposed to work. And I was like, no, I told you I suck at girl. I barely understood how to do this face stuff. Now I'm trying to do tanning. This is a terrible idea. On that note, I do have two dresses. I will be putting out a video of both dresses. You guys, I suck out loud at girl. So you tell me which dress to wear for the river dancing, because I'm just going to let the interwebs decide. I don't know girl stuff. I got two dresses. Y'all decide. Let's get into some news though. Well, in the douchebaggery, a healthcare executive and her husband have been charged after allegedly leaving their sleeping 6-month-old daughter alone at the beach after they, as Nick Starr would say, fucked right on off to somewhere for some reason that no one knows. Now, a healthcare company's regional president and her husband are accused of ditching their 6-month-old daughter in their tent on the beach during her nap time while the rest of the family went on a long walk along the shore Friday. Are these people like trying to double as Meghan McCann's, parents? Again, who leaves their children in a public place with no security to go wander on off throughout everything? Just, I mean, not even leave an air tag. What the hell is wrong with people? I mean, I may be just like semi hillbilly from Indiana, but even we don't do this and we frown on people who do this. Now, Sarah Summers Wilkes and her husband, Brian Wilkes, were both arrested shortly after police responded to reports of a baby abandoned at Florida's Miramar Beach around noon on Friday. Now, Summer Wilkes, 37, and her husband, 40, told police that they had quote unquote lost track of time, as you do when you leave your toddler or your baby alone. They, just as you do, while on the walk with their 3 older children, according to the Walton County Sheriff's Office, a report that they put on Facebook. Now, the pair were gone for nearly an hour. Yeah, no, douchebaggery of the highest order. It's right there at the hour time frame, 50 minutes to an hour, way longer than would be reasonable for anyone, said Major Dustin Cosson, the Weston County Sheriff's Office, one of their media officers. Now, a Good Samaritan collected the infant and was tending her inside the nearby Hilton Sandison Beach Golf Resort and Spa when authorities arrived. All the while, the parents had no idea what was going on and were impossible to reach as they had left their cell phones behind with the infant. Oh, so the baby was guarding the cell phones. It all makes sense now. I mean, how are you this stupid? What are you hearing other than cogent thought patterns in your head? Is it circus music? Because I need to know. Because I do wonder, people that just seem to lack common sense, is it circus music? Is it Girl from Ipanema? Or whatever, the elevator music? Do, 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 do. That's all I imagine these people doing. I imagine that they just have elevator music or the customer service, background music. Just absolutely ridiculous. We're thankful for the quick-thinking beachgoer who raised the alarm and for those who stepped in to care for a child with the same kindness and concern that they would show their own, said Sheriff Michael Atkinson. Yeah, these two, bon voyage, but muchachos, you are going to prison. Do or don't drop the soap. Look, I'm not in charge. I'm not in charge of the Lido deck on your prison cruise, okay? You make those choices yourself. Now, thankfully, the baby's vitals were normal and she didn't appear distressed, according to authorities. Now, she and her older 3 siblings were remanded to the Florida Department of Children and Families custody until other family members could pick them up, according to the sheriff's office. The parents were taken into custody shortly after and charged with child neglect without great bodily harm, a 3rd-degree felony under Florida statutes. Now, Cosson was appalled by the parents' disregard for the different ways that infants can mistakenly put themselves in danger, even while napping. That's all fine and dandy, but you just don't leave a baby at a house, then leave to go off to the store. That baby could roll over, suffocate, or the wind could blow a towel over its face. There's no telling what could have happened, he told ABC 13. Now, both parents were released on a $1,000 bond on Saturday. Summer Wilkes boasts a storied business career and currently serves as the U.S. Heart and Vascular's regional president for southeastern Texas. The company is a provider of support services for independent cardiovascular practices in Arizona, Alabama, and Texas. Probably not anymore. Probably not anymore. I'm guessing she's going to be polishing up her LinkedIn profile very, very soon. And thank you, Lurking Meowth, for doing a lurker check-in. I won't play the song because it is a bit loud, but doggone it, if you're a lurker, just put something in there because I think you count, but YouTube is a flying butt monkey. So, yeah, let's show them that you do count. Although I always thought you count. So there you go. Now, chilling details are starting to emerge about the plane crash that took the life of country songwriter Brett James and his family. A superstar country songwriter, Brett James' single-engine plane went into a tightening spiral before it crashed into the ground in North Carolina, taking the life of everyone on board, according to a report from the NTSB. Now, the private Cirrus SR-22T plane was piloted by James, who co-wrote such hits as Carrie Underwood's Jesus Take the Wheel, and was approaching Macon County Airport in Franklin on September 18th with his wife and stepdaughter. He requested a visual approach, not reproach, to the airport on runway 7 from air traffic control, according to the NTSB. Well, I mean, he knows how to do self-tanner. Rest in peace, sir. Shortly after, the pilot transmitted, while still tuned to the controller's radio frequency, that he was at 6,800 feet and intended to perform a 360-degree turn to land on runway 7. There were no further transmissions that were received from the pilot. Now, multiple witnesses near the accident reported observing a plane flying at low altitude near the airport and over a nearby school playground. Now, the plane was described as rocking from side to side with its wingtips moving up and down before rolling to an inverted position and descending behind a tree line. Now, the plane was just over a mile and a half from the runway shortly before 3 p.m. when it started its turn, that led to a, tightening spiral and an impact with the ground. The aircraft hit the ground about a quarter mile before the airfield. Now, the songwriter / pilot, 57, had also penned Kenny Chesney song When the Sun Goes Down, died in the crash along with his wife Melody Carol Wilson, 59, and their daughter, her daughter, his stepdaughter, 28-year-old Meryl Maxwell Wilson. Now, according to reports, the three had just celebrated the stepdaughter's birthday before the crash. Now, he does have an award at the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and was a former Grammy winner, working with stars such as Taylor Swift, Jason Aldean, and Martina McBride. Well, hopefully his family is getting more answers from the NTSB, and they will figure out what was going on. They're pretty good at their jobs. In fact, the NTSB, if I become president, is the only federal organization that I'm keeping, to be honest. That being said, I'm probably never going to be president. So that probably works out for everyone's, benefit. Now, we don't get political here, but this is going to be a headline. I haven't gotten into the whole, man who didn't unalive himself rabbit hole, but this does look like we are going to be getting some more, Lolita Island documents, if you get my drift. The House Oversight Committee on Friday published fresh files connected to the late Jeffrey Epstein's criminal dealings. And Tammy Fayette, thank you for being a member for 13 months. Commandment, thou shalt not be a flying butt monkey. That is right. That is right. Now, these include transcripts of a previous interview with former Labor Secretary Alex Acosta, who served under, the first administration of the Trump's first administration. Now, Acosta, the former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, ultimately resigned from his post as Secretary in 2019 after receiving scrutiny for authoring Epstein's 2008 plea deal, which allowed, this gross, disgusting, human-created child grossness person to serve 13 months in a prison and on 2, young child smonstitution, which no child can be a smonstitute. They can be, preyed upon, but no child willingly makes the choice to become a schmonstitute. And I wish we would never use that, because it's never a choice for them. That's the grossest combination of words because it's presumes that these children had agency, which children don't, to make these kind of choices. So, sorry, a little side rant there, but I hate that. I hate when they try to use just gross, gross words to cover up degeneracy. Now, the former labor secretary stood by his decision to not prosecute, Epstein during his September testimony before the House Oversight Committee. Acosta told lawmakers a billionaire going to jail sends a strong signal to the community that this is not right and that this cannot happen, he said, according to a 172-page transcript that was released on Friday. So if you are in this rabbit hole, I'm guessing you can look at this transcript and get more information on that. Honestly, I praise the first responders and the officers that their job is to look at all the monstrous, gross stuff that happens to children on the internet. But it is not my jam. It makes my heart break. So I will probably not be breaking down this 172 pages. It just breaks my heart, and it's not something that I like to look at. That being said, I am sure there are going to be a bunch of channels that are going to be going over this because it looks like they are releasing certain things. Whether or not we'll always get, anything else, it does look like a bunch of other, dealings have also been released related to the Oversight Committee's investigation, including, like flight logs and more things like that. But that being said, I did not delve deeply into this case because honestly, it just gives me the icks and the grosses. And there are so many people that can do this and kind of stay a little bit separated from it. But I would go full honey badger, and we don't need that. I don't look good in orange. Well, it was a swipe worthy of the Pink Panther. How the Louvre robbers swiped millions of dollars in jewels in a 10-minute heist. And yet they won't share any with me. See how this goes? It was the French Collection. A trio of slick robbers disguised as construction workers took fewer than 10 minutes to brazenly break into the Louvre Museum in front of both visitors and workers Sunday and coolly make off with millions of dollars worth of priceless gems, according to French authorities. Here is how the sensational lightning-quick heist went down. At 9:30 a.m., just a half an hour after the famed art museum opened, the gang of three thieves arrived at Central Paris tourist attraction on scooters. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. It would only be funnier if they arrived on Segways or rollerblades. Then they used a basket lift to get up to the second floor window using mini gas-powered chainsaws to break in. The most inconspicuous way to break into anywhere, chainsaws. No one in security heard, roar. I really am not trying to joke, but you're telling me that security didn't amass at this giant, rattling sound of something? Okay, sure. Then the masked and hooded crooks placed the basket lift at the museum, placed the basket lift at the museum themselves and threatened the guards who were present at the scene. Well, I guess I would be afraid of a chainsaw no matter how many it is. That being said, this wouldn't happen in Texas, y'all. This would not happen in Texas. We have CCTV footage from the museum itself. One of the Louvre spokespeople said, adding that the evidence so far points to a high degree of both preparation and organization from the thieves, who managed to pull off their caper in fewer than 600 seconds. Now, dramatic video inside the Louvre shows one of the criminals wearing a high-vis vest typical of those found on construction sites, calmly cutting through the glass surrounding one of the targeted items as visitors watched. Now, dramatic video from inside the Louvre shows that the criminals were wearing those reflective vests. The still cut quick concrete stall. Concrete saw. So it's a concrete saw. I love that English is my first and only language, and yet sometimes I'm like, what do those letters mean? Welcome to me reading for a living with dyslexia. Now, the footage shows the theft and two of the armed and masked robbers entering calmly, smashing display cases containing the French crown jewels worth an incalculable amount of money. No violence and very professional, said France's culture minister, describing the thieves appeared to be highly experienced. The theft took place just 270 yards from the Mona Lisa and saw 9 of France's most valuable pieces of jewelry disappear in, well, broad daylight. By 10:40 a.m., the two robbers had left the building through the same window and got to the ground thanks to the spider lift where a third crook was waiting. They all then got onto their scooters and fled the scene, although in their rush to escape, they left behind several key pieces of evidence. Please tell me someone left their ID. Please tell me these morons were professional and left their ID. One of the stolen objects, an emerald set imperial crown containing more than 1,300 diamonds that once belonged to Napoleon III's wife, Empress Eugenie, was found broken outside the museum. Police arrived minutes later to find the spider lift, the concrete saw, and a yellow reflective jacket used by one of the thieves. Also, a blowtorch, 2 angle grinders, gloves, gasoline, and a blanket left behind. Now, the robbers were last seen on security video riding away on their scooters, heading southeast of central Paris toward the A6 highway. Thousands of baffled visitors were soon evacuated from the museum, which was shut for the rest of the day. Now, forensic teams were pictured taking samples around the broken window on the south side of the building, where the construction work was taking place. Now, no information yet has been released about the possible identity of the thieves, nor has it been ruled out that they were foreign nationals, adding that the heist was most likely a work of organized crime. Well, organized of some sort. They seem to have a plan. Thank you, Sherlock. You've solved the case. This was organized. Thank you, Captain Obvious. We appreciate you stating this. The theft committed at the Louvre was an attack on a heritage that we all cherish because it's part of our history. We'll recover the works and the perpetrators will be sought out for justice, said President Macron. Everything is being done everywhere to achieve this under the leadership of Paris's prosecutor's office. Now, the stolen items include a diamond and sapphire tiara that belonged to the last Queen of France, Maria Amelia, as well as Queen Hortense, the daughter of Napoleon Bonaparte's first wife, Josephine. A sapphire necklace and earring from the second collection are also missing, as well as emerald necklace and earrings that belonged to Marie-Louise, Napoleon's second wife. Also reportedly gone are the reliquary brooch, which was designed to hold a religious relic, a tiara, and a bodice knot belonging to Empress Eugenie. Now, remarkably, a 140 carat diamond known as the Regent and the centerpiece of the collection was untouched by, the robbers. Now, the Apollon Gallery was previously raided in 1976 when armed robbers stole a sword that once belonged to King Charles X. Now, the sword was never recovered, with experts speculating that it was quickly melted down by the thieves. Now, the Louvre is the most popular art museum in the world, with almost 9 million visitors in 2024 alone. So, you didn't find the guy that stole the sword, but you're doing everything you can to find people that stole a bunch of priceless jewels. I think it would be very hard to fence those. I'm not a criminal, though, so I don't know if you have like a big fence or this is a collector, but hopefully they find all of them. Well, I don't know what to make of this, mostly because I am so shocked that anyone married this giant, ridiculous dipshit. Sorry, I try not to curse in the mornings, but there is no other word to describe him as other than dipshit, okay? Look, I have tried, and that is the only thing that Mo's brain, can come up with. The OnlyFans star that married this douche canoe decided to go scorched earth on her YouTuber husband after a humiliating wedding prank. You've seen every one of his videos. He acts like a douche canoe 24/7. Ma'am, you saw the ride and still bought a ticket. I feel sympathy for you but you chose douche canoe. Like you were like, you know what? I've seen the ride and I still bought a ticket. He is a douche to everyone. Why did you expect him to not be a douche to you? Well, she's not holding anything back, but she is a or an OnlyFans star, so that's not really out of the blue for her. OnlyFans model McKinley Richardson is trying to move on with her life bravely, not barely, of course, bravely telling her side of the story after recently splitting with her douchebaggery YouTube prankster husband, Jack Doherty. Now, in a two-part podcast episode hosted by Richardson's close friend Camilla Araju, the model opened up about what she endured during the couple's whirlwind romance. He looks like a Cabbage Patch doll with a smugly little... He looks like a Garbage Pail Kid. Why did you want to marry that? I can't imagine that looking any better with an O face. So why? What attracted you to him? I feel like I want to have a forensic interview to see what attracted this woman to him, because as of right now, I got nothing. Not even money would make it livable to live with this man. Now, their romance began early in 2023 and ended in May 2025. The 22-year-old married Doherty in an impulsive Las Vegas wedding almost a year ago. Now, Doherty, who is also a Kick streamer, is known for his live streaming just about everything he does, including accidentally totaling his $200,000 McLaren supercar, so their wedding was no different. What started as an amazing facts not in evidence relationship in the beginning, where the content creator was respectful and protective of Richardson, quickly went south, especially after Doherty put insane demands on his new wife the day after their wedding, which supposedly wasn't even legally binding. In front of his 15 million followers that he was live streaming the wedding to, he said things like, "Shawty gets absolutely nothing when I divorce her, even if I cheat." Again, sir, I would like to meet the other human being female that wants to do you, because I say she doesn't exist. She, like Bigfoot, is hiding relentlessly, because I don't see any woman of any... well, except for this one, coming to knock on your door, you little scrote. Ugh. Now, it's unclear if Richardson is still doing OnlyFans, something that Doherty allegedly pressured and manipulated her into doing. Considering Doherty's claim to fame as being an absolute douche canoe, people couldn't tell if his humiliating vows were real or not, but supposedly this douche canoe thought he was funny and they're real. And those vows were just a terrible icing on top of a bad cake after hearing some tragic things that the 22-year-old allegedly endured during the couple's toxic relationship. He is an absolute b-boy. Why did you do this? Now, she opened up about the time that she and Doherty got pregnant and a moment he apparently wanted to capitalize on. He wasn't going to be that thrilled to be a dad, but he couldn't wait for the money. He said the whole family YouTube channel thing would go wild. Just grow. Do not have children. Do not put them on the YouTubes. Don't. Ugh. It had nothing to do with the family. It had to do with control, she recalled. Now, the realization is what led her to make the difficult decision to have... Okay, never mind. I am done. I don't... Neither of these two people are prizes. I'm sorry that she, thought that an asshole would change its spots, but it doesn't. You just become a target too once they've gotten you where they want you. So I'm sorry, but again, you saw him being a general nebula of assholery his entire life, and then you thought you were going to be spared? No, these people don't spare anyone. They are nebulas with a gravity full of smugly and, no idea. Their chaos touches everything. So live, learn, and get smarter, ma'am. Well, Brandy suffered dehydration and cut her, well, welcome back to her short in Chicago. Pop music star Brandy suffered from dehydration and had to cut her Chicago show short on Saturday. The singer offered an explanation for her abrupt exit from the concert on Instagram Sunday. I'm deeply grateful to my sister Monica for stepping up with such grace and professionalism, and the entire crew for their continued care and support, she wrote. I went from the arena to see a doctor nearby and have taken the proper precautions to help moving forward. Thank you for your understanding and patience and your unwavering belief. They mean the world to us. So people said that concertgoers were left confused when Brandy abruptly left the stage and Monica wrapped up the show herself. Now, the pair did not even get to sing their single, The Boy Is Mine, which would absolutely be the only reason I would go to this. That being said, if you were in high school in the late 90s, early aughts, this was your jam. But The Boy Is Mine. It was your jam. I even thought I had rhythm. That being said, never understood why two women would fight each other for a man and not just gang up and fight the man who was creeping around. Never understood that particular, logical kind of thought process, but there you go. Well, apparently Twitch offered a real hands-on experience and one of their creators reached out and touched someone or assaulted someone. Twitch is facing a backlash. I mean, should just be a headline for every damn day. Is there not a day that Twitch isn't facing a backlash for some douche canoe move that one of their creators has done? At this point, it should just be called tragedy, not Twitch. I mean, we just know, spill the tea, not Twitch. Now, the streamer Emaru allegedly was assaulted by a fan on a video. Oh, I guess someone reached out and touched her. Do not get too close to content creators. It's weird. Live streaming service Twitch is now facing a backlash after videos captured a popular streamer, Emaru, being assaulted by a rogue fan during a TwitchCon meet and greet. Now, video footage circulated on social media of the man storming toward her, whose real name is Emily Beth Schnuck, and attempted to grab her face and kiss her. No, we are not. No. Yeah. Now, Shunk is visibly, upset, startled, and recoiled as her personal security guard ran to shove the man away, the clip showed. The popular cosplayer with over 2 million followers on Twitch blasted the platform's handling of the alleged, unwanted kiss. Yesterday, the man who assaulted me was allowed to cross multiple barriers at TwitchCon and even in front of another creator's meet and greet, grab me on my face and try to kiss me. The security at the clip, in the clip, who reacts is my own security. However, there were at least 3 or 4 other TwitchCon security staff in the area who did not react and let the guy just walk away. Now, Twitch responded in a statement Saturday stating it will boost security measures by adding additional security personnel. Well, yeah, but if your current personnel did nothing, then adding more to do nothing is not a gain. If they don't have, standard procedure to do that. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry, but look, she's probably young enough to be one of my kiddos. No, the fact that her own security had to stand up, no. Just because she's a content creator, just because she's, dressing smexy or whatever, doesn't mean that she owes you anything. A kiss, her space. No. Why are people weird? We immediately blocked this individual from returning to the TwitchCon premises, and they were banned indefinitely from Twitch, both online and for in-person events. We are coordinating with the Impact Creators team per our standard protocols and continue to cooperate with law enforcement investigations, the statement read. Twitch has zero tolerance for harassments or acts that inhibit the safety and security of our community, they wrote. Now, the creator claimed that the company's statement was a blatant lie and the assaulter was not immediately caught or detained. He was allowed to walk away from my meet and greet. I didn't hear he was caught until hours after, what he did to me. And I felt like this was only happening because my manager pressed it, not because TwitchCon staff present thought it was a big deal. The content creator said she was shaken up by the ordeal. Now, the video was posted to YouTube, and she added that her manager called the police after the incident and plans to press charges against the man. She also claimed that Twitch is planning to suspend the man from the streaming platform for 1 month, or possibly, ruling it an indefinite ban. So this is kind of a temporary, we don't know if it was that bad kind of ban. Now, the San Diego Sheriff's Office did not respond for a request for comment or additional information about this man or the charges filed. Now, this incident comes after several female streamers have voiced their concerns over the safety that they are lacking at these TwitchCon events. Many of their concerns have been elevated over the murder of Japanese streamer Ari Sato, who was stabbed to death in March by a follower on a Tokyo street. Sato, 22, had been filming herself making a circuit of major train stations when Kenji Takano, 42, allegedly ambushed her and stabbed her to death on a busy street. I don't feel irrational about it. I feel very scared, said one streamer, QT Cinderella, on a podcast episode last month. Twitch, get your act together, for the love of all that is Cheetos. Y'all, I can't with people anymore. Why is it every week? And if I hear that this butt monkey was drunk, I'm about done with drunk drivers. There is no excuse. At least 11 people injured after a car plunges into a crowd at a children's party and the driver flees the scene. Just absolutely grotesque. At least 11 people have been injured after a vehicle struck a group of attendees at a child's birthday party in Maryland. Around 10:14 p.m. local time on Saturday, October 18th, the police responded to reports of a major vehicle collision that resulted in multiple injuries in a residential neighborhood in Baldensburg. The Baldensburg Police Department said in a news release. A vehicle that traveled from the area of Annapolis Road struck several individuals who were gathered in the front of a residence for a children's party, said the police. Now, the driver of the vehicle allegedly fled the scene on foot, and their identity is being investigated. The children, who ranged from 2 to 9 years old, were among at least 11 people who were injured in the incident, according to news releases. Now, they were all transported to local hospitals. In a post on X, the Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department said that their units were dispatched to the scene of a car driving into a tent. Now, they confirmed that they treated 11 patients, including one teenage girl and one infant who were in critical condition. The other victims wounded were 2 women, 4 juvenile boys, 3 juvenile girls, who all had non-life-threatening injuries but needed to be transported to the hospital to get checked out on. Now, the BPD was assisted at the scene of the incident by Prince George's County Police, according to the news release. And the street was promptly shut down while they were investigating. Now, they continue to, look into the investigation into what happened, and they're asking anyone with information about who the person could be that fled on foot to give them a call if they're in Maryland. It's absolutely ridiculous. Well, you guys, this is just so sad. Human remains believed to be a missing USA hopeful, 23 years old, have been found after police received a very specific tip. Human remains believed to be a missing Philadelphia beauty queen have been located after a very specific tip came in. Now, the remains were found in a shallow grave behind Ada H. Lewis Middle School on Saturday morning in East Germantown, according to police. It could be Kada Scott, 23. Now, Scott was a former Miss USA hopeful that was last seen around October 4th, leaving her job at an assisted living facility in Chestnut Hill around 10 p.m. She was a recent Penn State graduate that seemingly vanished as her car was left parked at work and her phone went offline. Now, Keon King, 21, was arrested as a suspect in the case earlier this week. The first commissioner of the Philadelphia Police Department, John Sanford, called the discovery a somber and grateful moment as he praised the public for providing information to authorities. On Friday evening, one very specific tip led police to the heavily wooded area where the body was located. While conducting a search of the property, investigators discovered a shallow grave and recovered human remains believed to be those of Kada Scott. This heartbreaking development and our thoughts are with Kada's family and loved one during these difficult and extreme times. The Philadelphia Police Department remains committed to uncovering the truth and reassuring that justice is served. Now, the officer said that it had not yet been confirmed conclusively whether this body is that of Kada Scott, but said that all indication points that this is a female, these are female remains at this point. We're not going to confirm at this point if this is Miss Kada Scott because there has to be work done, DNA, bone, dental scans, things done by the medical examiner's office. Now, people who helped with the search after the tip came in and said there were obvious signs of something beneath the dirt. Sign number one, fresh dirt under the board, a man who helped search told NBC Philadelphia. So when we begin trying to dig with our hands, there's maggots under the ground and a strange smell emanating from there. Community members, including the Scott family, have been out searching every day since she disappeared. The shuttered school is 2.5 miles away from where Scott worked. Now, the 23-year-old is believed to have met up with an individual after leaving her job. An earlier tip led police to the same school on Wednesday, where they found a 1999 Toyota Camry, a vehicle that Scott is believed to have been in the night she vanished. Several of her belongings, including her debit card, phone case, and other personal items, were found inside the car. The front of the vehicle had also sustained major damage. Now, King was arrested on Wednesday and charged in connection with Scott's disappearance. He was charged with kidnapping, reckless endangerment, false imprisonment, stalking, tampering with physical evidence, and possibly more after they do, all of the testing, according to court records that were reviewed by Daily Mail. Now, he's not been charged with her death as of Sunday morning, and he is being held on a $2.5 million bond and staying at the Curran from Hold Correctional Facility. Now, he is due in court on November 3rd, per the records. Shortly after his arrest, a terrifying video started to circulate on TikTok showing a hooded figure creepily peering through a woman's window in Philadelphia. Now, the viral clip is believed to show King trying to break into another woman's home and is going to be part of the investigation into Kada Scott's missing, case and now possibly homicide case. Now, in the video, a woman told King to leave and urged someone off camera to call the police. Moments later, King was seen walking to the side of the house and peering into another window as he looked to be trying to break in, according to investigators. Later that day, he allegedly abducted the woman from the street, forcing her into his car, driving at high speed, biting her face while giving her a not-so-friendly neck hug. She was later released and treated for those minor injuries, but I hope she is getting counseling or therapy to try to help with that because I can't imagine the trauma of that experience. So I do hope she's getting continued support for that. Now, King's 2-year-old child was in the backseat of the car during the incident. Assistant District Attorney Ashley Tozowski said, So this man had a child as he was trying to attack and kidnap someone. What kind of monster does that? I mean, it seems too simple to say, to say this, but really, I'm about done with people. Now, while King was charged for that incident, the case was withdrawn in May 2025 because the victim did not show up to court. In November 2024, King allegedly forced the very same woman into bed and violently gave her more neck hugs, but those charges were also dropped when she failed to appear in court 3 times. Now, after King's arrest in connection with Scott's disappearance, prosecutors refiled each earlier kidnapping charge against him for the incident involving the TikToker. Yes, this is going to be used to illustrate a pattern of behavior. This is going to be used as a modus operandi. This is how he does this. He now has documented evidence that this is how he behaves when a woman doesn't want to hang out with him. He tends to, do a little bit of the kidnapping romance. So, and I feel terrible for the woman who didn't show up in court, but we should be able to prosecute if we have video evidence. Now, hopefully the witness will now feel safe enough with him possibly facing a full-on homicide charge to come forward and speak against him for the refiled charges. Because otherwise, now, I am not saying that this will work for every autistic person, but it does seem like something that maybe is something to look at if you know someone. Like I said, I'm not the mainstream media, so I'm not even going to fake that I have like a Scientology degree or anything. But this is a headline, and maybe it's something that will work. I hope that it does, so that people with nonverbal, conditions can make their, can advocate for themselves. My nonverbal autistic son began speaking at the age of 8 after taking a wonders drug. He had understood everything for years and had complaints. Nathaniel Schulman had notes, years worth of them, having spent much of his childhood barely able to mutter more than a few words at a time. The young boy has begun to speak in full sentences at the age of 8. His first order of business to set the record straight. He had a laundry list of everything that upset him throughout the years, his mother, Dr. Kathleen Schneider, told the Post with a laugh. From disappointing dinners and denied dessert to long-held grudges against his older sister, it was clear that Nathaniel had been waiting a long time to tell his story. He was retaining absolutely everything, Kathleen, who is 54, said. People weren't having him be a part of the conversation or assuming that he just didn't understand it, but it was all there. Now at 13, Nathaniel is one of a growing number of young people with autism who have found their voice with the help of Levocrin, a cheap generic drug that is opening up new channels of communication, one overdue complaint at a time. Now, hopefully this is something that will help other people too, but as always, with anything medical, discuss this with your own doctor. Do not go to like some crazy, back alley lot to try to get this stuff. Your doctor knows you and your children. Do not take anything just because I do a story on it. Not that I think anyone in chat would, but I always do throw that out there. Like, I'm just bringing you the headlines. Talk to your doctorologist. Now, the second child of Kathleen and Paul Schumann, Nathaniel was a babbling social toddler who made eye contact easily and engaged with the entire world around him. But soon he began to fall behind and started missing developmental milestones. He didn't start walking until 14 months, and then he started regressing with his word. Kathleen, who works as a provost and chief academic officer at Colorado Technical University, said, "That was when I started to realize that something wasn't right. At first, doctors would dismiss her concerns, suggesting that she was simply comparing Nathaniel to his older sister, who had both walked and talked early. But Kathleen, ever determined to be the mama bear and advocate for her child, pushed for answers. She enrolled Nathaniel in early intervention services at just 17 months old, including speech, developmental, and occupational therapy. By two, however, Nathaniel was only able to repeat what others said or use single words to express basic needs and wants, like water or outside. Now, at the age of 3, he was diagnosed with autism, receptive expressive language disorder, and ADHD. You could never have a conversation with him, Kathleen said. That was the most horrendous thing as a parent, knowing that you can't have a conversation with your own child or that someone could hurt him and he couldn't tell you, which would be terrifying for me as a child. Now, following his diagnosis, Nathaniel continued with the, kind of therapies to really facilitate his, kind of achieving those milestones. Now, in 2021, she came across a notice in the Federal Register recruiting participants for a double-blind clinical trial that was being led by Dr. Richard Fry. Now, the pediatric neurologist was studying whether levacorin could help autistic children with febrile folate deficiency or a shortage of vitamin B9 in the brain. Now, researchers are starting to study this and say up to 70% of autistic children seem to have antibodies that block the transport of folate into the brain, leading to deficiencies that contribute to speech delays and behavioral changes. Now, he theorized that levacorin, a form of folate, could bypass the block and more effectively deliver the nutrient to the brain, potentially easing the nonverbal symptoms. Now, the drug was first approved in 1988 to reduce the toxic effects of chemotherapy. An early study of 44 children, Frey found that 67% of those who took the twice-daily pill showed improvements in both receptive and expressive language within 12 weeks, and none experienced serious adverse effects. So this is great. Now, it's a very, very small study, so I do want to throw out there that this is a very small study, and they'll have to do more about studying for this to see if there really are no side effects. But if this is something that could help families, then yay, Big Pharma for once. Like 1 out of 30, I'll approve. Yay! Now, so that's where they are right now. If you're going to the doctor and looking for an autism pill, it doesn't exist. Fry, now a director of research at the Rosagon Medical Center in Phoenix previously, but it has helped a lot of children. Now, the drug costs about $100 per month without insurance and can be covered by most generic formularies with about $10 a month. Kathleen was intrigued and amazed to discover his latest study was taking place at the Phoenix Children's Hospital, just about a mile and a half from their Arizona home. Now, after testing confirmed that Nathaniel both had the antibody and the cerebral folate deficiency, he was enrolled in the trial, and it became clear that he hadn't been given the placebo almost immediately. When he started taking the drug, it was like something clicked, Kathleen said, and he went from 1 or 2 words to full-on sentences within 6 months. With his new ability to speak, Nathaniel finally found a way to express what had been locked inside of. And thank you so much, John. Thank you, thank you. I have so many costume changes today. I'm Donna, and then I'm letting you guys see the 2 dresses / one pantsuit that looks like a dress. I really need to look. I never even thought it was a pantsuit. Oh, well, I didn't think this out too much. And this is still not going to take away all the things that, autism means, but if it can give children a chance to express their wants and desires and their needs, to feel safe, to feel loved, then I say this is great. I don't think autism is a, detriment at all. It's just a different way of seeing the world. And if this pill can help many people that are locked in their own lives because their mind just can't help them speak, then this would be great. This would be awesome. Be able to tell someone if someone isn't treating them right. It's not a cure per se, but if a lot of children have these sort of folate, deficiencies, then my goodness, let's hope it helps everyone that it can. Now, she's careful to point out that the medication isn't a cure-all. Nathaniel had been enrolled in speech, developmental, and occupational therapy since he was 17 months old, and those interventions laid the foundation for his progress. Suddenly, he had the capability of talking, but he had to learn how. When you have a conversation with a person, you have to ask them things and listen to them. It's not all about what you want to talk about. And the whole time, he can do that now, but it didn't do that for him. Speech therapy did that with him. Now, many of Fry's patients have continued their therapeutic interventions while taking the drug. You have to treat a lot of things to make the body well, and the pill does what we think is accelerate the effectiveness of all of these therapies. Now, today, Nathaniel takes both guitar and trumpet lessons. He's a member of the Phoenix Children's Chorus and recently sang the national anthems at a Diamondback game. He's also active in the Special Olympics for golf and swimming on the local team and is working towards his scuba diving certification. He even flew, solo to New York City the last time to visit his sister. I want to be an ice cream man, Nathaniel told the Post as he dashed out at the door for school, dreaming of his future. So there you go. I love this. I know it's not a magic pill, but it's definitely something to maybe be keeping an eye on. If it's something that's $10 a month, if you can get a generic and you meet the criteria, it's an interesting thing to think about, that could be something that really is, news. Well, now for the news that makes you wonder. And thank you so much, Dan Davis. Mo is like a breath of fresh air, a ray of sunshine. Thank you, Dan Davis. Thank you, thank you. So that is so cool. And now for the news that'll make you scratch your head and wonder, well, we may all need Jesus someday. And like right now, the stories that make us pray for the rapture. It's our favorite story time. Let's bring him in, Six-Pack Jesus.
The key-keep scroll, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack listening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
I don't even know what to say about this other than my heart will go on and on. Never since Rose was up doing the, thing with Jack on Titanic have I heard a more ridiculous romance story. A man posed as a lawyer to see his jailed girlfriend and cited attorney-client privilege. Well, I mean, that's one way to get into your convict girlfriend's knickers, I guess. A man allegedly lied about being a lawyer so he could visit his girlfriend in prison, as you do. I mean, what do you do on Tuesday? I pretend to be a lawyer. What do you do on Wednesday? Pretend to be a priest. Just don't get those two mixed up. Now, he even cited, attorney-client privilege when confronted. Now, according to a probable cause affidavit obtained by Law and Crime, 41-year-old Aaron Oldham walked into Oklahoma County Detention Center on Monday and, quote, attempting to get power of attorney paperwork signed by his girlfriend. Now, his girlfriend is 41-year-old Christine Hillier, who was incarcerated a week before being arrested for a warrant from Nevada. Now, Oldham allegedly told the detention center staff that he was Hillier's attorney and she was his client. Sure, Jan. Upon being granted access to the facility, Oldham and Hillier were placed in an attorney visitation booth, and they both filled out the power of attorney paperwork. The staff noticed something might be off when Oldham and Hillier began hugging and kissing in the visitation booth. As you do with every attorney, I'm sure Sarah Boone attempted it. She tried to do the basic instinct thing and everyone was like, no, God. And then all you see are the people melting in front of the Ark of the Covenant. At least that's how I imagine why most of her lawyers left. It's just like, oh. Now, Oldham was arrested shortly thereafter when authorities determined that he did not actually have a license to practice law. When confronted, he allegedly stated he understood why he was being arrested, but he believed that he had attorney-client privilege with his girlfriend. He was arrested and charged with false personation. It's a silly misunderstanding, he said. I will never interact with the system again, hopefully. I'm a very law-abiding person, and I trust the U.S. legal system. Well, you're a lawyer, sir. Have fun with that. God, people are so weird. Well, it's not your grandma's advent calendar, but I am here to, spice up your marriage and let you know what's out there for Advent. Because the season is approaching quicker than you know. Not safe for work. Grab up to 80 or 68% off the We Vibe Out Advent calendar, worth more than $900. It's all there for you guys. Advent calendars aren't just chocolate anymore. This holiday season, We Vibe is bringing back its fan-favorite adults-only Advent calendar. Yes, celebrate the birth of our Lord with a vibrator and anal beads, because nothing says nativity scene like, nipple clamps. I could not stop laughing when I saw this, you guys. Part of me wants to order it just to see Mr. Mo's face, which I'm not spending $60 or whatever for, jokes, although I am tempted. Offering a playful and wellness-forward twist on the regular countdown tradition, with 4 curated options designed to both spark joy, intimacy, and connection. These not-safe-for-work calendars are the ultimate gifts for couples, self-care enthusiasts. Self-care enthusiasts. I guess they couldn't say masturbators. Old bean flickers. You have got to be kidding me. Self-care enthusiast. Or anyone looking to treat themselves, which I think would have been included under self-care enthusiast, but apparently it's mainly for lonely people. I am not spending $200 for an advent calendar. All right, I will grift during Donna. If we get $200, we're getting the advent calendar. I suck at grifting, but there you guys go. And then we will have a Mr. Mo and Mrs. Mo. What the? It's just going to be a bunch of giggling, you guys. It's going to be daily us giggling hysterically. So there you go. Well, it looks like one's the womanizer and did I give up, you guys? What is wrong with people? I am sorry. Look, there you go, you guys. If you're struggling about what to get to that gift for that person that has everything, I got you covered. In possibly the best Hollywood look ever. I say, I know that France and Belgium are banning the burqa, but I say we in America, we fight back and bring the niqab to America, but only for Hollywood. Kim Kardashian has never looked better to me, although she can still speak, which seems to be a problem. And thank you, Timothy. Yes. Well, we will be grifting all day, and if we get to the to the top, I'm just saying I think this is a good look. I I am good. That's awesome. I have no idea who she is, but I feel strongly that no one should be groped by weirdos. And companies that want to use cute little girls, you know, in their advertising should protect said young women, not little girls, but young women. Look, I'm at the age where anyone under 25 is young to me. So, thank you so much, M169, for the advent calendar. Yes, yes. Mr. Mo is going to be like, what in the name of Cheeto slices? I just don't even know what to make of this. Is there anything worth $90 in the holiday or in the Spirit Halloween store? Is there anything actually worth? A Spirit Halloween security guard took the life of a shoplifter for stealing less than $90. I just, it's a Spirit Halloween store. I could see this happening at a fireworks store that it will be in the next couple months, but a Spirit Halloween store. A security guard at Spirit Halloween has been arrested after he allegedly shot and took the life of an unarmed shoplifter that was trying to make off with less than $90 of merchandise. Now, according to a criminal complaint obtained by Lawn Crime, the incident began around 5 p.m. on Thursday while the 25-year-old Joseph Armillo was working security at Spirit Halloween located around Carlisle Boulevard Northeast. Now another man, 41-year-old Chase Baltaramo, allegedly grabbed multiple items and tried to exit the store without paying for them. Now, let's see here. Josiah noticed it. Thank you, Patrick W. We're moving on up. Now, Josiah tackled the man and pulled him to a steel pole before the man allegedly fell to the ground. The pair began to fight, according to witnesses. And at one point, Josiah climbed on top of the, would-be, well, shoplifter and began to strike Chase in the face with what appeared to be his fist. Now, during the fight, Josiah, while on top of Chase, drew his firearm and pointed it directly at Chase's face and begins to scream at him. Now, when Chase was able to wiggle free, he allegedly threw the security guard allegedly then threw him back to the ground, saying, "Don't move or I'll shoot you." Now, the complaint explicitly noted that on his second escape attempt, he did not try to hit, Josiah back, and investigators say that there was no indication that the reported shoplifter was in possession of a weapon. Now, according to the complaint, Josiah had already put his force multiplier back into the holster and pulled out a can of pepper spray, which he did spray at Chase's face. Finally, he then again pulled out his force multiplier once more as Baltaramo managed to climb on top of the guard and hit him. So this is really going to come down to what the video shows, because right now we're getting this. But if the shoplifter managed to get on top of him and was raining down blows and he legitimately feared for his life, it doesn't matter that the man tried to walk away again in that moment. So it's really going to come down to what will a reasonable person think? Will Dr. John Brown be able to come in and explain, video evidence? So this is going to be one to watch because it does involve self-defense. I don't know if Branca has made a take on this. He's he's more scholarly and lawyerly than me about this stuff, but this is definitely a case to watch. That being said, please, irony of all ironies, was he stealing handcuffs and a prison convict escape suit? In ick, just ick. Look, in the true form of Mo friendship, if I have to see something that's not the good kind of cringe, I'm sharing it with the rest of you so we can all collectively go to therapy. We can all be traumatized. Sister Wives Cody Brown uses his body odor to flirt with his wife. Well, the only one he's keeping. Ugh. Cody Brown raised a bit of a stink on the latest episode of Sister Wives. Must miss television. They don't have Christine or Janelle. I'm done. And ick. While working up a sweat as he packed up the 5-bedroom Flagstaff, Arizona home that he and Robin Brown and their kids once shared, he remarked about how he could smell his own armpits. Congratulations, sir. You have evolved to, utilize all 5 senses. This is great for you. But not to rank to attempt some flirting with his sole remaining wife, Robin. Ugh. Why don't you come over here and smell my pheromones? Again, how this man was able to attract 4, let alone 1 wife? Questions. I have questions. Well, a United Airlines pilot got injured after some mysterious object smashed into his windshield at 36,000 feet. I mean, I never thought that ET would come back as a, BB sized, but that's it. They're trying to attack our airlines. A United Airlines pilot was injured and forced to make an emergency landing after a mysterious object smashed into the windshield of his Boeing 737 at 36,000 feet. Now, photos are circulating online and reportedly show the pilot's arms bleeding and bruised, with injuries consistent with glass cuts. The broken glass was coating the dashboard and cockpit, and other photos appear to show what looks like scorch marks on the impact point. Now, this particular United flight 1093 from Denver to Los Angeles had made an emergency landing in Salt Lake City on Thursday. Now, some of the online observers suggested that the strike might have been the result of space debris or even a meteor striking the jet. Could be. Where is, kryptonite when you need it? Or anti-kryptonite? I don't know. I wasn't much of a comic book person, so I'm sure they have like good and bad kryptonite. Don't know. Federal Aviation Administration has placed the probability of space debris causing serious injury to commercial airline passengers or pilots at 1 trillion to 1 in a 2023 report. Now, experts said that the windshield crack could be explained by an electrical malfunction, but the scorch marks and broken glass indicate that the plane was likely hit by something. Again, thank you, Captain Obviouses. Birds, hail, and other objects do tend to collide with planes at lower altitudes. What makes this report different is that the Boeing 737 MAX 8 was at cruising altitude, usually far above these kind of concerns. On Thursday, United Flight 1093 landed safely at Salt Lake City to address damages to its multi-layered windshield. We arranged for another aircraft to take customers to Los Angeles later that day, and our maintenance team is working to return the aircraft to service. Now, the plane does remain grounded at Salt Lake City. The amount of space debris circling the Earth continues to grow, with NASA tracking over 25,000 pieces of space debris larger than 4 inches. And thank you, photo lady. I'm late, but I wanted to give you some love. Well, thank you, thank you. This is awesome sauce. I was so excited to get all the Halloween stuff up. I'm like, yay, Halloween. I may not like pumpkin spice latte or pumpkin spice nearly anything except candles, but I do love fall. And I now have 3 Halloween costumes, so that works. Mr. Mo is like, are you going to wear all the costumes you have? I was like, have you met me? If I could go out dressed up in costume all the time, I would. Now, this is getting re-damn ridiculous. Now, I have no problems. I would like to point out here on a rant. I have no problem tipping people who do an incredible job. I always, highly tip my hairstylist. Even if I don't really like, what they did, I still want to pay them for their time. I tip, we tip waitresses more than it says to. But I am done with, like people at Starbucks who aren't even doing my drink asking me to tip them. I am done being at a store and they ask me to tip them. I'm like, no, it's your daggone job. I am tired of and I'm the one that I'll round up for like education at Goodwill. I'll round up for certain things. I am not going to tip you for working at Target. Janice, sorry. No, the answer is no. This tipping thing has gone crazy. Thank you for my rant. Tipping culture in the US has become so extreme that staff now think that customers who do not leave gratuity are breaking the law. Oh no, bye Felicia with that thinking. At least that's what some restaurant workers seem to think, judging by, well, the plethora of viral videos that are, showing up on the internet, but particularly a viral video this week that shows a dramatic confrontation between a restaurant workers and a customer, or restaurant workers and a customer. Now, the clip has reignited a broader debate over whether tipping in America has spiraled out of control. Yes, it is. Like, I have solved the mystery. I've put Moe's a stamped of yes, it has gone freaking flapjack crazy. Raising questions about tipflation, social pressure, and the expectation that's placed on diners. It shows the tense aftermath after a man allegedly left a restaurant without tipping his waitstaff. Now, according to the Post, the bartender and server chased the customer down and even blocked his car with their vehicles. Way to get an attempted, kidnapping and forceful entrapment charge. I don't care if you have up your butt shorts. That's not going to work for me, sweetheart. Now, the clip shows a visibly shaken man stepping out of his beat-up Honda as the two workers confront him. What did I do? He asked, while his children, including a baby, sit inside the car. One of the staff filming him in the scene can be heard saying, "My brother's a cop. You got to go back there right now. Seriously." Oh, the cop brother's going to be so completely ridiculous. Like, just no. In the footage of the incident, which has been uploaded to TikTok because these women have not a functioning brain cell, the caption read, "He was cornered and the cops were called." Now, it's also noted that both the staff and the customer were Democrats, which I don't really give a rat's ass if he was a Democrat, a Libertarian, or a Episcopalian. I don't even give a crap what the waitress is. Just don't be a dick. That's the difference. There's a difference between not tipping and not paying the bill, someone commented. If you want more money, get a different job. It's definitely illegal to chase someone down for not tipping, one person wrote on the video. You can't make someone give you a tip, a TikTok user commented, adding, "That's the problem today. Everyone thinks they deserve a tip." The video ends with the customer retreating into his car, though it is unclear if he ever had, or if he was forced to return to leave a gratuity. Now, U.S. tipping culture can be a hot topic. A survey found last year that 3/4 of Americans believe that tipping culture has gone too far. The survey found that 2 in 3 Americans often guilt tip, whereby they felt forced to add gratuities by prompts at checkout machines. The findings come amidst a widespread backlash against tipflation, which has seen tipping culture spill out from bars and restaurants in excuse me, into even stores, takeout chains, and self-service machines. Meanwhile, foreign visitors think that tipping culture in the U.S. is outrageous. What the hell is tipping? I don't get it. Tipping here, tipping this, tip, tip, tip. Just the tip. America first. No, that is not vodka. Although I did have a really nice or apple cider Moscow Mule when we took my daughter out to lunch. My husband was like, "You can't even taste the alcohol in these," and I was like, "Yes, that's why they're dangerous." Not that being said, not like I wasn't adding things into the cart at Walmart to make one my own self. It's booze, and I helped. Well, it's time for the naming and shaming portion of this. Since YouTube doesn't like when I introduce it as Lord Chippy, we are going to start calling it naming and shaming the monsters among us. And Lord Chippy helped.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
A ginger savage, self-described, is learning his fate after taking the life and dismembering a beloved elementary school teacher while she walked along in the park. Just Also, you just look like a creepy, weird ginger. Not a savage, but a Maryland man will be spending the rest of his life behind bars for taking the life and dismembering a beloved elementary school teacher who was attacked while she was out on a summer walk. In June, Harold Francis Landon III. Why are these people always the third? Do you think Harold Francis? You sent your child to school with as a ginger boy with the name Harold Francis III, and you didn't think he was going to end up, on FBI's most wanted? I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but once you tack the third on there, this boy was destined for this. I mean, his middle school had to be redonkulously terrible. That being said, you having a bad childhood because your parents named you, the third, Harold Francis, is not anyone else's problem. Now, he was convicted by a jury of his peers in Prince George's County to one count of murder in the first degree for the July 29th, 2023 death of Miriam Torel Sia, 59. Now, on Friday, the 7th Judicial Circuit Court Judge Carol Cadron sentenced Landon to a life in prison without the possibility of parole. The underlying incident occurred somewhere in or near Shroom Hills Park in Greenbelt, a middle-sized suburbs in the D.C. metro area. Now, on the night in question, she went out for a walk near her home and never returned. After a search, a woman's torso was found in a retention pond in Clinton, a census-designated place located 20 miles south of Greenbelt. Now, none of her other remains have been recovered. The murder shocked the community. She was originally from the Ivory Coast and moved to the United States roughly a decade before her life was taken. She taught second grade at Dora Kennedy French Immersion School, where her pupils said they adored her. The slain woman dreamed of returning to her home country and had even purchased a home there before her unfortunate murder. This was a good person, prosecutor Aisha Braveboy said during a sentencing hearing on Friday, according to a courtroom report by a local ABC affiliate. She cared about people, she was religious, she was a believer, and she loved her children and the children that she taught. Now, upon her disappearance, the community activated and engaged a forensic search effort before the shocking discovery of a torso a few days later. Now, evidence amassed against Landon, including finding the teacher's DNA on the defendant's boots, as well as a piece of her dress and scarf in the bed of his pickup truck. Additionally, the victim's cell phone and the since condemned man's cell phone were both determined to have been in the same area where she disappeared. His truck was also seen near the pond where a woman's torso was found. Police said they obtained surveillance video showing what appeared to be a body in a black bag in the defendant's pickup truck. But perhaps key to the verdict was a jailhouse phone call played for jurors when Landon appeared to admit his culpability for the crime. Yes, those calls are recorded. Thank you, you absolute reject, for not realizing that and basically confessing. His defense attorney was like, Jesus. His defense attorney just brought a bottle of bourbon in with a silly straw and was like, now, Landon was not arrested for the discovery the same day as the torso was found, but was, arrested on an unrelated assault charge. He was later arrested for her murder about a month later after further investigation and a positive ID on the torso. Now, the assault is believed to have been random as the two, both the assailant and the victim, had no prior connections that police could find out. Now, investigators have never officially determined what the actual cause of death was, though they believe that she was probably strangled before dismemberment. We don't think we'll ever know the true motive, Braveboy said during sentencing. What we do know is that he did it, and that he was clear-minded when he did it. He was calculated in trying to cover up what he did. During the sentencing hearing, Landon kept mum. His defense attorney, however, described a tumultuous childhood with a not-so-great father and alcohol abuse beginning at age 7, followed by illicit substances beginning at age 13. At the time of the crime, the defense attorney insisted that Landon was in a drug-fueled haze and had no memory of the violence. You're still dangerous to us. We cannot trust you. I'm done. This act was not caused by some level of rage based on substance abuse. It was premeditated, the state fired back. It was calculated before, during, and after. Now, the state's attorney's comments remained consistently pretty incisive and forceful throughout the entire process. When Landon was convicted, the prosecutor employed an extended metaphor to describe the result. He tried to dismember her body so he could sever any evidence regarding his crime. But today, the jury sent a very strong verdict, and now he's severed from our community. Don't speak in metaphors, especially when they're as labored as that one. Now, I did send this to Shizzy because this is the kind of hometown justice I'm okay with, although that's allegedly in Minecraft, and don't lay your hands on anyone even if they disrespect your wife. But I'm not your mom, I'm not your pastor, and I'm not Oprah, so, you make that choice when you want to do it. You're an effing C-word. A Florida man shot a woman after insulting her on the way to play cards, then got beat up by her husband. Wilford Brimley should not get into fights. He doesn't have that cocoon pod anymore. A Florida man, are we shocked that this came from our glorious and batshit crazy state, Florida? Our glorious, shining freedom peen that is Florida. Michael Phillips, 76, stands accused of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and had his face busted up to go along with it. Now, according to a probable cause arrest affidavit reviewed by Law and Crime, deputies with the Lake County Sheriff's Office responded just after 7 p.m. Saturday to a home on Sand Road in Grand Island, which is about 45 miles northwest of Orlando, for a pew-pewing. Now, when deputies arrived, they reportedly found a victim suffering from a gunshot wound in the forearm, as well as the suspect who had trauma to his face. Witnesses told the police that the victim and her husband were putting her dog into the car when Phillips walked up and asked if it was okay to enter the home to play cards. Now, Philip was walking inside and he allegedly turned to the victim and said, "You're an effing C-word," before pulling out his force multiplier from his pocket and shooting her. Now, witnesses said that the victim's husband ran to his wife's defense and started throwing some haymakers at Phillips, whose force multiplier was apparently taken from him and placed on the table so he could get a little bit of husbandly justice. And I'm just saying, you don't call a man's wife a C-word and force multiplier her and expect to get out of it looking whole. No, no. No, no. Now, the victim told the police that when Phillips first came to the home, he said of the victim, "Don't trust anything she says." When the victim asked Phillips why he made that claims, he apparently responded with name calling. After receiving his Miranda warnings, he admitted to pulling out the force multiplier. He claimed that someone grabbed him and it just went off, hitting the victim. When asked why he pulled the force multiplier out in the first place, he advised he had questions and believed the only way he would get answers was, using the force multiplier. And he believed that holding people at force multiplier point to get questions answered was legal. It's not. It could be considered hostage taking. Now, he was arrested and taken to Lake County Jail, where he is being held on a $25,000 bond. Well, good luck, sir, but yeah, we need the better watch yourself. And because they're just always monsters in the public school system, I'm kind of done with these teachers. And I name and shame every single one of these teachers. Throwing a book bag at a student. Pre-K teacher accused of hitting children repeatedly and grabbing one student by the necular region, while her assistant did not one damn thing. You have both been excommunicated from the teaching, community. Please leave, exit, and do not pass go, do not collect $100. Go directly to jail, madams. A pre-K teacher at a public elementary school in Georgia has been accused of hurting children in her care, with her assistants, or paraprofessional as they're called now, witnessing the violence but failing to report it. Tanisha Harrington, 47, has been charged with 8. Yes, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4, or 5, not 6, 7, but 8. 8 charges of cruelty to children in the first degree, the GBI announced, while Courtney Dutton, 37, faces 1 count of failure to report child assault, basically. The state agency said it got involved after the Claxon Police Department received an anonymous tip that Harrington had been abusing the children in her classroom. Now, inside the classroom sat a security camera that GBI said had been recording what went on inside. The camera captured Harrington committing heinous acts against the students, usually no more than 5 years old. The footage depicts Harrington hitting 2 students repeatedly in the face, grabbing 1 student by the necular region. Oh, hell no. This is what would happen if this happened to most children.
Streets whisper and cries in the shadows. Justice ain't got no eyes, no ears. Weak voiceless wrapped in chains. Need a beast without no fears. Be a champion wild untamed. Fury in his eyes, claws that red. You have given warriors heart.
What in the name? Okay, it has become clear to Mo that the world needs basically a crazy redhead mom TED Talk. I apparently need to speak to the entire education system at large to explain that you don't want to mess with, mama honey badgers, that you do not want me to find out that my child has been touched, laid hands on, or abused by anyone in your school system, because it will not be a good thing. Now, because if I have to go in curlers and a house dress and explain that you do not want to see this face, on every news stream, running you through the verbal grinder, do not mess with people's kids. I don't know how hard this is to understand if you are an early childhood educator. Because I doubt that these women are going to have a good time in Gen Pop. Gen Pop, do your thing, allegedly in Minecraft. You didn't hear it from me. Now, In addition to that, she's shown forcefully lifting students by the arms while they're lying asleep on floor for nap time, slapping a student on the arm, and then pushing another one, throwing a book back at a student who is seated on the ground. These videos include incidents both from the current and previous academic years. So you're telling me that the school had access to these security cameras, saw this horrid behavior, and didn't do nothing? Did nothing? They better go after the school too, because this is ridiculous. If the school had notice of this and the unions protecting this teacher, I'm done. Now, Dutton is described as Harrington's paraprofessional, a trained aide who assists in a professional capacity, and she was alleged to have observed the video inside the classroom during several of these incidents and failed to report the conduct as mandated. Yeah, but what about the administrators at the school? Again, anyone who had access to this video feed in the school district would be a mandated reporter too. So if this paraprofessional's getting it, then I want everyone who had access to this video footage and didn't do something on the first incident held in contempt too. Now, the investigation is ongoing, and when it concludes, the Atlantic District Attorney's Office will be tasked with prosecuting those who can be charged. Now, additional victims are possibly going to be identified, and this is still an ongoing thing. So I do hope that more charges come out for everyone who knew about this, because everyone who tried to cover this up, who did not take action, they're just as guilty in my book. Just ick. Well, why haven't aliens shown up? They're bored. According to some scientists, extraterrestrials are bored of trying to find us and simply have stopped looking. Well, I mean, that explains who wants to play Candy Crush all day or find the humans. Well, it's one of the biggest unanswered questions in science. If there is life beyond Earth, why hasn't it gotten in touch with us? And I respond, it has seen the internet. No one wants to chat with us. We are a hot ball of crazy hot mess express. I'm kind of done with this. That's probably the bigger reason. Now, scientists have claimed that the answer, and it suggests that aliens are more similar to us than we thought. Yes, maybe aliens are just as lazy as human. Dr. Robin Corbett, an astrophysicist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center and the University of Maryland, thinks that aliens have gotten bored trying to find us and simply have stopped looking. In a new paper, he suggests that extraterrestrial civilizations are only a little bit more technologically advanced than us. Well, I mean, I don't assume that everyone's a moron just because some people around me are morons, but there you go. In the mundane perspective, where other civilizations are not that much more advanced, a limited exploration could arise. Now, an expert says that Proxima Centauri b, a planet in another solar system about 10 light years away, could be a promising location for life to exist. However, if humanity's present spacecraft speeds, it would take around 100,000 years to reach it. But our radio signals have been going out for decades. There you go. I mean, good luck with this. Now, for decades, science fiction films and comics have depicted aliens as sophisticated civilizations using technology beyond our comprehension. Now, this may have fueled the assumption that they were capable of successfully beaming messages to other planets, including our own. You know, for example, they can send out swarms of interstellar robotic probes. According to some people, they already have. I don't know. It's interesting to think about, but it's definitely using human parameters to try to quantitate something that would be completely foreign. And I feel like putting human perspective on a completely alien civilization is more telling about what we find scary and true than what, a possible potential alien race would find true. But it is interesting to think about. We're just too boring to find. What in the name of all tiny baby Jesus in a manger? A mother has been slammed for the ridiculous name she's given her daughter, with some people telling, the mom, you need to adopt, pets. When Aubrey Joan posted to TikTok introducing her newborn daughter, she expected congratulations, not hot takes and backlash. New baby name reveal. We're so excited to welcome the sweet little baby into our home. Okay, wait, go back. This is no. We say no to this. How to give your child a miserable time in middle school. Look at what Disney Mae Jones. That has to be child endangerment. Disney Mae Jones. Now, stop. Just stop. I give up. All to the tune of an iconic Disney jingle, Disney Mae sports a pair of Mickey Mouse ears on her tiny little head. However, the comments section did not agree with this name. Wait, can Disney sue for this? Questioned one user. Another criticized, wait, y'all remember you're naming adults, right? I think every child given such a ridiculous name should be able to sue their parents for emotional damage and the embarrassment they will inevitably endure. Australia has name rules, and it really should be something put in place everywhere, a third point out. I mean, you had 7 children to name, and you named her Disney Mae. My son has an ocean in his class. I asked if, like Atlantic, some of y'all need to adopt pets instead of having children. Now, this is not the first time that Aubrey and her husband Joss have selected a unique name for their children. Daisy Mae Jones is the youngest of her siblings. Tredney, Sunny, Zaylee, Truly, Journey. I give up. No. No. Why are you doing this to your children? Some have come to the defense of the couple, arguing that they have the right to name their children whatever they want. I think Disney's lovely for a wee girl, said someone who's only raised cats, I'm guessing. Disney's a beautiful name. No, it's not. It's someone else's last name. Unless you are from, if you were cloned from the actual, frozen, cells of Disney's, head, I'd be okay with you naming your kid Disney. But as you are not, Walt, I say don't do it. What is going on here? I give up. I give up and I'm done. But we need, as always, I found this, and why not start Monday morning with a puppy kitten break of all the cuteness? Because after that story, we need some cuteness.
Like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive. Take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
Well, costume canines are strutting their stuff in New York City's Halloween dog parade. Their boo is worse than their bite. Hundreds of four-legged New Yorkers and thousands of more onlookers took to Manhattan streets this last weekend to, do a cavalcade of costumes as part of the 35th annual Halloween dog parade. Oh, it's President Dog. President Tofu during the 35th annual Halloween dog parade. And then there's Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, Frankie Sinatra, riding in a red toy airplane. A Barbie car. That's hilarious. Dingus would not let me put a wig on him. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, there you go. I mean, who doesn't? Oh my gosh. Okay, I love this. That's it. We're going on a field trip next year. This looks awesome. You've got a curing dog and a crime scene dog. I am I am here for it. That's it. We're dressing up dogs. My cats, look, I'm not going to lie. Dingus doesn't like me cutting his fingernails, and I'm not going to attempt this, but we should all try this. This is awesome. Well, you guys, thank you for joining me today. I am going to go help Mr. Mo drop off the van because it's making a weird sound. And then I will be donnaing up because at noon we have got Donna watching her sentencing. And I cannot wait to roast the ever-living Schnell out of this monster and pretend to cry and, well, wear our fantastic wig and my orange jumpsuit. So I will see you guys then, but I'm going to go run the van in and say hello to Mr. Mo and do all the, like, wifely stuff. So I'll be right back. Remember, you guys, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire because kindness doesn't equal doormat. Bye, you guys.